Right. Welcome to Positivity is the Way to Go. He is the CEO of IAM Media. Welcome my guest today, Alex Miner. How's morale going, man?
It's going good right now. I'm good.
How was the weekend? What did you do over the weekend?
I mean, it was pretty much just chilling, kids, hanging out with their friends and me doing chores, being a dad.
Sounds like a normal weekend for you, man.
Yes, sir.
So how do you different between macro content and micro content building a client strategy?
So, the way I think about macro content versus micro content, it's basically it's kind of like the discussion everybody has about like short form versus long form content. My philosophy is that when you're building your content strategy, you should be producing long form content with the intent for it to be able to break down into short form content. Now, there's also a place for building short form content that is strictly short form content, but you're going to maximize your time, you're going to maximize your efforts by building long form content that can be broken down systematically into short form content.
Yeah, because sometimes people may not know the difference, macro, micro, it's like two different meanings and everything, you know.
And I mean, for people who may not be familiar with those terms, macro or long form content is really any type of, for me specifically, because I work in the realm of video, any video content really that's going to be like longer than 90 seconds, 2 minutes on up. So that could be, a 2.5, 5 minute clip, a 10-minute clip onto an hour long podcast, or you're doing a 3 hour long masterclass, anything like that. I would look at as long form or macro content. So the spectrum is pretty broad. With the micro content, it's basically like I was saying, anything under kind of like 90 seconds would fall into the micro content bucket for me. And there's a lot of flexibility within that spectrum as well. I mean, there are pieces of content people make that are 1 to 5 seconds long that can do really well for them if they're purpose built for that type of format. But then there's other people who are gonna, kind of blur the line between micro content and long form content, just because of what it is that they're talking about. And usually that's more of an instructional type of content where they're trying to relate more complicated concepts, really kind of teachable moments. But I mean, the spectrum is wide, man. You can do all sorts of things with those formats. It really just depends on your intent.
Well said, because I've been doing some acting work on the Shad, the Shatter TV show, right, in
Hmm.
Chicago. I've been doing some work on there as an extra. So
Okay.
yeah, I never did any acting work. I know one thing about acting is it's long hours, right?
Hmm.
Because what made you get into filmmaking, though?
It was really just an evolution of my interests over the years. Like I started out as a musician. I have a history in music as a rapper, producer, songwriter, audio engineer. And while I was in the midst of doing that, doing content and music for myself, doing it for friends, at one point I bought a camera just to because I was thinking, oh, I could help my friends make music videos. And as I, dug into the camera and started falling in love with the mechanics of that, I just wanted to get better and better. And so I started doing research, digging into YouTube University, and just learning as much as I could about filmmaking because I knew I had, at least when it came to the camera, I knew I had a camera that was capable of creating the kind of images that I wanted, but I didn't know how to get there. And so it was just researching and learning, figuring out the tools and the techniques that would help me go from point A to point B as far as the quality was concerned. And as I was learning more about the actual technical aspects of filmmaking, I started falling in love with the concepts and the art of it. And I went out and worked on some indie films, like independent films just being done locally by local filmmakers. I got to help with some of those. Entered into some film festivals, helping out a friend with some film projects, and it just evolved over time.
Yeah, maybe you could get me in a film, Alex. Man, I got a lot of experience now. Maybe you could, if you got stuff coming up, maybe, man, maybe you could give me a role, maybe.
Well, I don't write films or produce films, at least as far as like narrative type films or anything like that. Most of the work that I do either falls into like content for businesses, and every now and then I'll do maybe a mini documentary. But majority of the work that I do is working with businesses and creating content for them for their marketing efforts.
Well, if you doing any documentary, maybe you can help me in that, man. Maybe I'd be like, man, this guy Alex, he a cool dude, man, you know?
We can, never know what the future holds. We can see what happens.
Exactly, man. We got speaking into existence, man, like LeVar Ball, what he did with LaMelo Ball, you know? He like, my
Hmm.
son's gonna play in the NBA. And guess what? They be in the NBA.
Yep.
So what is your approach to ensuring video reaches its target audience uh, rather than setting on a website?
Could you say that one more time? You were breaking up a little bit. I couldn't quite hear the
I
question.
was saying, what is your approach to ensuring a marketing video reaches its target audience rather than sitting on a website?
That's a tough one because it really, the approach really is dependent on the client and what their goals are and what the purpose of the content was in the first place. And also, the client has to have some willingness to put the work in to get the content out there. One of the reasons that a lot of clients will create a video or create some content and then it just kind of, like you said, sits on a website is because they don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to distribute it. And some of those things can be combated with just mindset shifts. Because a lot of times what will happen is somebody gets this piece of content created, they go put it on Instagram once, they put it on YouTube once, they put it on their website. But the main thing is that they only use it once. And they don't really understand that this same piece of content, even though it's not new to you, there's lots of people out there that it'll still be new to, a month later, 2 months later, 6 months later, a year later. So one of the things that people need to do, depending on what kind of content you created, is to keep posting it. Don't just post it once and then say, "Oh, it's done, it's good." No, it's a tool that you can use over and over again, depending on what it is that you actually created. So that's one mindset shift that I encourage people to do is don't just post the content once, post it multiple times. Because if you're doing things right and growing your audience over time, there's always going to be new people coming into your audience that haven't seen that content before. So it's still useful. And then also it's just people got to think about all the different places where they can distribute it. It's not just on your website. You can distribute it on YouTube. You can put it on your Instagram. You can put it on TikTok. You can send it out via newsletters. A lot of businesses used text marketing campaigns now. So you can be, if you got people in a text message list, you can be blasting stuff out via text message. So there's all sorts of formats that you can be using to distribute your content, and you don't just have to do it once, but you've got to be strategic about it. You got to remember, hey, I'm always trying to attract new eyeballs, so I can't think that if I send it out once, that's all I should send it out. Like there's always somebody new who hasn't seen it.
Yeah, so with my YouTube channel, you saying that I should get in the newsletters. Because I never thought of it that way. I normally just posted one time my video and I send it out to people so they can watch and stuff, you know. And how can I put it in a newsletter? You know, like how would I be able to do that? Do I call up the
Well, it depends
newspaper,
on
Chicago Tribune?
well when we're talking about newsletters, that's another thing that a lot of people don't do when it comes to marketing is building an email list. And I encourage people to build email lists because that's a distribution channel that you can control. Because Facebook can be taken away from you, TikTok can be taken away from you, Instagram can be taken away from you. But a list of emails that you got, nobody can take that away from you. There's always a way to send an email, right? And so if you start an email newsletter, you can be speaking directly to your audience through that. And all it takes to distribute your video in that is putting a link to the video and maybe a thumbnail and telling people, hey, this is this video, this is what it's for, and encouraging them to, go look at it. And that's something that you can do over and over. And that's a channel that you can always own.
I'm gonna look into that, man. That's why I had you on, Alex, man. You the man of wisdom. You got a lot of
I appreciate
knowledge,
it.
man, to offer my audience, man. So how do you measure success of a campaign in its views and engagement or direct conversions?
Once again, it really depends on the goals that you came up with for that campaign before you even started. So before you even go to create the content, before you even start, formulating a campaign or putting money into it, you should be thinking about what the end goal of the campaign is. What does success look like? And that's really going to be determined on a case by case basis. For some marketing campaigns, the ROI is just going to be views. It is just going to be engagement. It may be clicks to the website. But on another campaign, it might be dollars in the bank because you're pushing to actually sell a specific product within a certain time window. So those metrics they can vary widely, and they're very specific to the actual campaign that you're putting forward. And that's something that you really need to think about on the front end instead of waiting until you've already created content and already started sending enough stuff out to be like, okay, well, what shows that this worked? Like, you need to know up front what will tell you that this is working and then create the content with that in mind.
Yeah, well said, because some people they may not be aware of the arithmetics and everything, the algorithms and stuff,
Mhm.
the numbers and the stats and everything.
Yeah, in the whole world of algorithms is kind of changing now, especially in the last couple of years. Um, you know, Platforms like Facebook, platforms like Instagram, um, historically, they were really based upon who you already knew. Like what showed up in your feed was based upon who you were already following. Now, with the growth of TikTok and kind of the dominance of that platform, more platforms are switching to a discovery based algorithm. Like I think Facebook is still kind of dominated by who you already follow, but Instagram, especially because they're competing with TikTok, now it's more of a discovery platform where every day where you log in, you'll be seeing more and more content of people that you've never heard of before, that you don't follow, because they'll be deciding to show you stuff, deliver stuff to you based upon the interests that the platforms have seen that you have. And so that's a very powerful opportunity for folks these days because it makes it easier to get discovered. It's also at the same time a little more difficult because there's so much more noise out there and there's so many more people trying to utilize these platforms. And I kind of come at it from the world of business, and there's still a lot of opportunity for a wide variety of businesses because one, a lot of your competition isn't utilizing these platforms, or if they are, they're not utilizing it well. They're not putting the real marketing dollars and know-how and energy into these platforms. So it can be very easy to stand out and differentiate yourself depending upon what market you're in. So even if there is a lot of noise in your market, the majority of people who are making that noise, they're not making the noise well. So if you can come in with better content and better strategies, it can be, I'm not going to say it's going to be easy to stand out from everybody in the crowd, but there's opportunity to stand out.
Yeah, because that's what I want to do. That's why my content I interview, I talk about different topics because my channel is like unique because I'm willing to get uncomfortable and I'm willing to talk about stuff that other channels may not be want to talk to or they may not want to touch those subjects. They may just want to talk about sports only. My channel is about other stuff besides that sports. And I like it that way because there's a lot of diversity of topics. And that's why I keep growing and evolving.
Very cool, man. And that's a relevant strategy. A lot of folks get told and go by the old advice of you need to niche down, but on the other hand, you have folks like Gary Vee who encourage you to explore all your interests because that's part of what makes you uniquely you, and that will attract like-minded people.
Yeah, because let's get it well said, Alex. But with the rise of AI, what is some video marketing tactics that you think that need to be kept authentic with the rise of AI? How do you think that content will be staying relevant and authentic?
Um, I think one of the ways to stay relevant and authentic in the age of AI is just to remember that AI is still just a tool. It's not, it's not Skynet, it's not the T-1000, they're all out to get us. It's a tool. And if you come at it with your creativity and with an open mind and curiosity to learn what the tools are capable of, you can make some really amazing content. I haven't dug super deep into AI yet. I'm really only scratching the surface of it because one of the problems is there's so many tools coming out right now because everybody's kind of in this AI arms race where everybody's trying to come out with some kind of AI tool, and there's tools for generating video, there's tools for editing video, there's tools for analyzing video, and audio, and just it's all over the place and it's overwhelming, honestly. So I think one of the keys is to stay curious, to do your research about the tools and platforms that are coming out that are relevant to the industry that you're in, and to just be open and to not be afraid to also get help. So if you're interested in AI, there's nothing wrong with um, hiring a coach because there are AI coaches out there, or hiring somebody who's created a business out of using AI for whatever purpose it is that you're looking to get help with. You don't have to do everything yourself. So if you want to leverage AI, but you're not sure where to start, the first thing is to hop on Google, start doing some research. There's lots of content creators out there. There's lots of websites out there. There's lots of articles out there constantly talking about what the new tools are, what the new innovations are. So staying curious, being willing to do your research, and then being willing to get help if you are overwhelmed by it all, but the AI can help you with certain things. Don't be afraid to reach out to somebody if you know somebody who's really good with AI, or to hire a coach or hire somebody who has made AI their business to do the AI thing for you.
Yeah, because I've been struggling to get work lately and stuff, and then AI has really taken over like a lot of fields, over their jobs because they get rid of humans and they having robots take over.
I think that's a relevant fear. Um, but when it comes to actually performing work, a lot of the tasks that AI is being leveraged for are things that people don't really want to do anyway. So, I mean, it's going to force us to upskill and to diversify our skill sets, which is the same thing that happened, with like factory automation and the automation of, I mean, pick an industry where automation has come into play. It just forces us to develop different skills and to, change our thinking. The world changes and we got to change with it if you want to stay relevant and you want to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah, it's the new normal.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna get you out on this, Alex, and I appreciate you for coming on today, man, and giving your time. I've been trying to book you for a while now, Alex. It's been since 2023, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. Not always the best when it comes to responding to the emails, but I'm trying to get better.
Well, this the new form. You got to adapt to the times, Alex. Come on, man.
I'm trying.
So I'm gonna get you out on this, and also I want you to sing next time you come on. You know, or can you sing a little bit today?
I don't know. I wasn't ready for that, man. I
Alex,
wasn't ready for that.
Alex, Alex, Alex.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared. You caught me off guard with that one.
Well, you got the mic. You seem like you was sort of ready to go, man.
Now, this is a
That's why.
podcasting mic. This ain't the singing mic.
Well,
This is
next
the
time we need
podcasting
to
mic.
sing your mic, Alex. We need the full Alex experience, man.
All right.
It's like when you go to a Bulls game, you want the full experience. You want Red Panda. You want the free Chick-fil-A. You want them to miss two free throws, by the way. You know, you want the place all up on our head and everything, you know. You want the full fan experience.
I
That's what
feel
I
you.
thought I was gonna get today, man. I was like,
I mean,
man,
you should have told me to get ready. I wasn't prepared.
yeah, well, you don't get ready, you stay ready, you know. Like
Well,
the
I've
3-point
been out the
shooter, like
music game for a while, man. I
well,
haven't
Ray,
really been doing music.
Ray Allen was always ready when Boston called and when Doc Rivers said, I need you to go in the corner and shoot that three over LeBron James. He was ready for the moment. You got to be ready for
I
the
get it.
moment, Allen.
I get it, but that was basketball. That was his business. Music hasn't
Hey,
been my
hey,
business for a while.
yeah, but you also be ready though all the time, Alex. Come on, man.
I mean, he caught me slipping today. What can I say?
So, so what is important to being a good filmmaker and finding the right age? And because I know a girl and her Asian man got some bad gigs, man. You know, and sometimes you want to be represented in the right way that shows you and not them forcing stuff upon you.
When it comes to representation and agents and things like that, I think the best way to find the right agent for you is to get really good at networking. Now I'm not an actor and I don't necessarily have to deal with a lot of that, but I have friends who are actors, in on camera actors, voice actors, etc. And the way that they usually find the best representation is through networking. Talking to their peers in the industry, finding out who has done a good job for them, what agencies they've had good experiences with, finding out the agencies to stay away from. That's really important. So it's talking to your peers, networking, forming strong friendships and connections. And I mean that goes beyond just acting. That's pretty much in any business. Like every sector of business that I've been in, relationships have been key. So in filmmaking, um, re- good relationships is the difference between you having work and not having work. In the AV industry, which I've been, corporate audiovisual, which I'm still heavily involved in, the difference between you having work and not having work is having good relationships. People, relationships with companies, relationships with individuals, um, relationships with subcontractors and other entities. It's really all about relationships, especially if you can, when you do get your shot to get on to work and to be in front of people, conduct yourself well, do your best to leave a good impression. The goal should be you should always want to be good at your craft and do the best job that you possibly can. But almost more important than that is leaving people saying, I like working with that guy or I like working with that girl. Because if the experience of working with you is good, the experience of it, not always having to be the most knowledgeable, not always having to be the most skillful, but if the experience of working with you is enjoyable, or is more pleasant than working with somebody else, you're more likely to get the call back than that other person.
Well said. So, Alex, it was a pleasure having you on today, man. So you gotta go get your daughter, so I'm gonna let you get out of here, because that she's important,
And she knows she's important too. That's the problem.
You,
She knows.
you,
She
now
knows.
you gotta take her to McDonald's and stuff, take it to a restaurant, because with if she a teenager, she don't like to be around. She want to be around her friends and be on their phone. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why you got to get off that phone. You like Pop said, no,
I be
no phone
trying,
at
bro.
dinner
I be
table.
trying. Like they hold on to it with like the Kung Fu GI Joe grip. Like it's
Hey,
hard.
you got to get that. You got to get that. That you got to get that Kung Fu Jackie Chan phone out of there, man. You got to do like you got to do like the lead dude that was in the movie. You got to do some Kung Fu Panda stuff, man.
I agree. I agree. I'm gonna work on it.
But all right, man, it was a pleasure having you on today, man, and can't wait to have you on again.
All right, sir. Be well.